All the sermons on this website were recorded on weekdays with an attempt to simulate the original sermon. They were not chas v'shalom recorded on Shabbat or Jewish holidays. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. First, I'd like to acknowledge the Kiddush is sponsored by Claire Robb and Jordan Goldhammer in celebration of the first birthday of Joel. Mazal Tov, happy birthday. So I wanted to update the community on the goings on with some of the major projects we're working on in the community. So first of all, the school. So unfortunately this week we found out that Abrams Academy, who was so generously sponsoring and partnering with our community with potentially building a school downtown, took a pause and decided to scrap the project to start a day school in Center City next year. The reason is because we only had a class for first grade. We did not have a class for kindergarten, and that kind of gap was not something that made sense this year for the community. However, this is something that's still possible in the future. And I think this is something we have to take very seriously. If we're going to be a serious community, Jewish community downtown, it's important for us to get this type of school started. Abrams is a very special school. It is officially non-denominational. It has a very, very strong Jewish education with a modern Orthodox bend, and also has tremendous secular education. Anyone who's visited the school, it's very difficult not to be thoroughly impressed. And to have that kind of school downtown would just be perfect for our community. The hashkafa, the outlook of the school is exactly like ours. Strong secular education, strong Jewish education, and very strong support of the state of Israel and the Jewish people in Israel, and a connection to Israel, this land, and Israel, the people. Very, very unique school, and it's run by Rabbi Budau, who's extremely a wonderful educator, tremendous amount of experience, and he's just a very special person. And he's put a lot of effort into this, and as Marvin and Marsha Rabb, and in our community, Rona Gerber and Yoella Epstein, tremendous effort put into this project. And I don't think it's for naught. I think that this year was a learning experience, and I think the parents of the shul really have to get together, because we have the bulk of the children that would attend such a school. And I think it's important for us to realize how important it is for us to have this type of school downtown. Many people don't want to send their kids out of town, especially the younger children, to the suburbs on a bus. I don't mean out of town, out of Philadelphia, but just even to the suburbs. Not a simple process. Have a school downtown is not only convenient, but also adds tremendously to the community. Rabbi Budau said that based on his experience when observing our community, he thinks there's going to be a Ramaz downtown, so to speak, type of school within the next 10 to 20 years. And I think that that's a tremendous compliment to our community to show how much we've grown, how much we've developed, that we could actually support such an institution comparable even to Ramaz. Is just mind-boggling. So it's something we really have to keep in mind, and something that we have to take action on as we move forward and as our community grows. The other development is also not so fantastic. It's regarding the Center City Community Mikvah. Now, this project began 4 years ago with an organization called Mikvah USA, which helps individual communities build and develop their own mikvah, local mikvah, which is not an easy project. You need to work with contractors, and believe me, I've been working with my contractor for the last 6 months. We would be best friends if it wasn't for the fact that we're very upset about how long it's taking and about all the conflict that's been going on. But God willing, it will be done. It's not easy to work with contractors. It's not easy. And Mikvah USA gives you everything. They give you the guidelines, the planning, from soup to nuts. The only thing they don't give you is all the funding. They help you find fund. They match you with funders. So thank God, we've matched with a funder who's willing to give a $100,000 grant towards the mikvah. And Rabbi Menachem Schmidt, Shlita, has been very, very generous in donating basically his synagogue, Vilna Shul, to the mikveh site, which saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars in the mikveh. And additionally, Mikveh USA has told us that they have people willing to give matching grants to the mikveh project. And this project is estimated to cost in the vicinity of $400,000. And we basically have close to half or more than half the money raised. If, and this is the big if the Center City community steps up to the plate and gives significant donations of their own. And significant, by significant, they mean, I think they mean between $50,000 and $100,000. Now, while that may seem daunting on one hand, on the other hand, it's a tremendous opportunity for us. The problem is that this project started about 4 years ago, when our shul was, comparatively in its infancy, and we really haven't been involved in the project. We weren't told about the project until 2 years ago. We're involved in the project seriously, other than the last few weeks. So Eliezer Siddiqui has generously agreed to lead the mikveh committee, and we're going to have a meeting discussing how we could fundraise for the mikveh. I've been told by Mikveh USA that this is a lot on the line over here. If we're able to raise within the next few weeks pledges and donations of $50,000 specifically from our community, and he said that not only will the $100,000 grant remain, because the $100,000 grant right now is in jeopardy since it's taking so long, the person's running out of patience, and he wants to instead divert the money to another project in Plano, Texas, which is a community I know as well, because it's right bordering on the Dallas community, and we visited there a number of times. It's a beautiful community, and they deserve a mikveh as well. But we want to lose that support. Plus, he said that if we're able to raise $50,000, then he will go to his board and try to raise another $50,000 for us. And a couple of big donors in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, who apparently are willing to put up to $100,000 for our mikveh project. So we're talking about a lot of money potentially lost if we don't raise the money. Now, I'm not saying we could do it. We've never done anything like this before. But it's something we have to really, it's a daunting task, but something we really have to take seriously and see if we can do it. And I think we should pull out all stops to try to meet this goal. So I just want to update the community on this matter. And we basically, when you look at the situation, you look at it, it's kind of extreme. Either you have a school, you don't, and a big difference. And if you have a mikveh, you don't. This is something that's pulling us between two extremes. Either we're going to have major funding, or we're going to start from square one. Very, very scary. This suddenly reminds me when I'm in the car with Miriam. We're driving. We usually drive back from Philly to New York. It's a long trip. So one of the most important things when you're driving in a car for a long period of time is climate control. And we have totally different styles when it comes to climate control. So it's a lesson in, I guess, marriage also. Because when I get in the car, I'm freezing outside. It's freezing outside. I get into the car, I want to warm up, so I turn it all the way up to heat, extreme heat. And then it gets boiling in the car, and I turn it back to extreme cold. And I go back and forth between the two. And Miriam's like, I have a great idea. Why don't you just put it in the middle? That's why I never thought of that. But at the moment you want to go to extremes. It reminds me of the Billy Joel song. This is what Miriam actually sings to me when I do this. The Billy Joel songs, I go to extremes. She starts singing. I know, don't go to extremes. Or she'll start singing the Katy Perry songs. We're big Katy Perry fans. Hot and cold, she'll sing that. So basically it's a battle between extremities and the middle road, which is really obviously the Rambam says the preferred path in life. But this is something we look in our parsha, we see there's two different extremes as well. We have the beginning of the parsha, something I mention every year. The beginning of the parsha starts off with the laws of mourning, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G, because even though it speaks about the Kohanim, we mentioned this last night, why it is we speak about the Kohanim, right? And that's how we learn about the laws of mourning. So I think if we're going to say something very similar idea today, but it's like a roundabout way why we do that. So that's, again, we'll explain how it connects. We talked about this last night. But it's very strange. Like I say, it's very strange bedfellows. You have the morning, and you have, at the end of the Parsha, Yom Tov, you have holidays. And this is very similar to Sfirat HaOmer, because Sfirat HaOmer, the time period which originally was meant for the Yom Tov, it's like Chol HaMoed, that the Ramban says. It's Chol HaMoed, it's like an intermediary between Pesach, holiday between Pesach and Shavuot. We count the Omer from Pesach to Shavuot. They're connected, and therefore the middle part is connected as a holiday, but it's also become a time of mourning for the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva who passed away, who were killed in a plague because they didn't give respect to one another, as the Gemara says. So you see, it's an intermingling of two extremes. And again, we spoke about the fact of looking at the Gemara, it's the same thing. Moed Katan speaks about Chol Moed, the laws of the holiday, and also speaks about the laws of mourning. And we see this a lot, and even on the modern day calendar, we have Yom HaZikaron, Yom Hatzmaut, Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaShoah. During the Omer period, with Yom Hatzmaut, Yom Yerushalayim during the Omer period. So this time of year and this parasha really fit together very well. We explain this every year. And it's very important to understand this. And why is it that we have these two extreme things? You have mourning and holidays mixed together. It seems inappropriate to have them mixed together. So I think we've never explained this before, but if you go to the end of the parasha, it speaks about the Hamikalel, the person who cursed God. Question is, this guy cursed God basically, and they put him in jail. I think it's the first time we see the concept of jail in Torah, and they decided to kill him. All right, strange story. What's it doing here? What's the connection? Very hard to understand the connection. But if you look, it's also a strange story. What happened? So if you look at Rashi, so one of the things he explains is there was a very, very strange story. So this guy was a Ben Mitzri. His father was Egyptian. His mother was a Jew. So therefore, since we go after the mother, he's Jewish. However, he doesn't inherit the land of Israel. So one of the things that he complained about was the fact that he was an extremist. He goes from one extreme to the next. He's an extremist because he was a religious zealot who said that how can it be, what disrespect, when he found out about the lechem panim, that there were the showbreads that were put out on the shulchan, on the table in the Holy of Holies, in the temple. So they were left out the whole week. They were baked on Friday for Shabbos, and they were left there for the whole week. So he goes, "What? You're going to serve God? You don't serve a human king anything close to that. You're going to still serve God, stale bread? You can't bake bread every day? What's the matter? We have everything else going on in the Mishkan. It's basically a food producer, right? It's a meat processing plant. So you can't have a bakery. You can't have a bakery baking bread every day. You eat fresh bread for God. So he's very, very angry, and he went from one extreme to the next. He starts cursing God. Why did he curse God? So he cursed God because he found out that he doesn't have a share in the land of Israel. There was a whole dispute he had, and he found out that he doesn't have a share in the land of Israel because it comes from the father. The mother determines whether you're Jewish. The father determines whether you have a share in the land of Israel. So he went from one extreme. So he goes out, since he lost the court case, he goes out and curses God. And this is something we find a lot of times with religious zealots, that they're very strong about their beliefs when it's convenient for them. But when it's not convenient for them and it doesn't work out for them, then they get very angry and they turn against what they previously believed. And I think this is a common phenomenon. It has to do with going to extremes, and the question is how to deal with it. So people who are zealots, you find in many of the writings that it connects, this concept of zealotry, in at least Kabbalistic writings, connects to the trait of fire, Aish. When someone's a zealot, the fire burns in their heart. Right? We spoke about that before. Nadav and Avihu got killed by an Eish Zara, got killed by a strange fire. They became Pinchas, who was a zealot. They became the soul of Pinchas, the zealot who killed in the name of God, and he was put on a pedestal as the Kanai, as the one who was passionate to defend God's honor. So, also in this category of Aish, of fire, is kas, is anger. So really, what I'm saying is that when someone is zealous, they really have a little bit of anger inside themselves, which is not good. It's not a good trait. And my Rabbi Sacha Fran from Baltimore used to say that something that always stuck with me, that if a person feels they're an angry person, they want to train themselves, like the Rambam says, Hilchos Deis, you train yourself to become to the middle. You want to go from one extreme to the middle. You don't want to be angry, so you have to learn patience. You learn patience by driving behind somebody who drives slow. That's patience. Believe me, driving in the right lane on the freeway requires a lot of patience. So he said, do it on purpose. Drive behind the slow person, the old lady driving, whatever it is, just drive slow. Because it will teach you, train you to become patient. And the problem with zealotry is that there's lack of patience, and that's how it's corrected. And we see this from the three things that he complained about. So first of all, he complained. So it says, "Vayetze ben Isha Yisraelis." So he speaks about this guy. His mother was Jewish, and he went out. So mehechan yotza. From where did he go out? So it says, Rabbi Levi Omer me olomo yotza. He left from his world, meaning he lost the world to come. The second answer is that he left. That it left from the previous parsha, right before this parsha. Right before this section of the Torah of the Parsha this week, speaks about the showbreads. So he said, like we said earlier, so he said, how can it be, right? Derech hamelech lechol pas cham b'choyo. The normal king eats warm bread every day. Shema pas sonenes otisha yamin bitmia. How can you leave God with stale bread? So that's the second thing he complained about. Third thing he complained about, Vayetze, possible they complained about, says that he lost this court case that we mentioned. That he says, I'm from the tribe of Dan. He says, no, your father determines what tribe, not your mother. So I think these three things are the same concept. It's teaching us, usually when you have three different explanations, there's a common denominator. And the common denominator is patience. That if you live in this world, you want results immediately. It's not going to happen. You have to wait for the world to come. You can't wait for everything. You can't just say, let me have immediate satisfaction. I want answers right now. You're not going to get it. If you live in this world, you have to live with time. You have to have patience. And you have to wait sometimes to the next world. So he me'olomo yotza. The second reason that he did this is because of the showbreads. So the problem is he didn't have patience. The beginning of the week, on Friday, when they're first baked, so he's all mad it's going to stay there a whole week. But he should have waited. Just wait to the end of the week. Wait 1 week. You'll see it's fresh every day. It's a miracle. One of the miracles happen so it's more of a sanctification of God's name to leave it the whole week because it's warm and fresh for 1 week straight, which is not obviously supernatural. And that's a better thing. So you just wait. He doesn't have the patience. Third thing is with inheritance of the land of Israel. He's all mad. I want the land of Israel now, right now. He says, sorry, your father was not Jewish. But I want it now. Wait a few generations. You have daughters. Their daughters will marry, and they will inherit your grandchildren, your grandsons will inherit the land of Israel, but you gotta wait a little bit. So the antidote to anger, the antidote to extremist zealotry is patience. And this is what he did not learn and what we have to learn from that story. And I think this is why you have these connection between mourning and holiday, because mourning and holiday obviously don't go together unless you understand that they do. Because I believe that, we spoke about this in the past, that Yom HaShoah and Yom HaZikaron precede Yom Yerushalayim and Yom Hatzmaut, because without the negative experiences, we wouldn't have the positive experiences. It's not like you can have one or the other. You need to have both. Because the road to success is wrought with tremendous difficulty. And this nothing is more true than the land of Israel, state of Israel. That 3 years after the Holocaust, we came back to the land of Israel. And I think what the Parsha is teaching us is that it's not only a coincidence that it happened, it's amazing that it happened, but the fact is that it had to happen that way. We don't understand everything, right? In this world, we don't understand why there's a Holocaust, but we see one thing, that there's a rule, general rule. It's necessary to go through hardship if you're going to have success. We needed Yom HaZikaron, we needed Yom HaShoah to have Yom Hatzmaut and have Yom Yerushalayim. And you have to have patience for that. It's very difficult. You're going through difficult times. It's not easy to understand that those difficult times are going to lead to good times. But you have to have that kind of patience. I think this is something that our community can learn from our experiences, that we see that, yes, we had a couple setbacks, But this is necessary for the road to success. You have to have the setbacks. You have to have the negativity if you're going to have the success at the end. And we have to learn that as a community and shake this off and go weiter, as they say. Go on. And I think this is also true of the Jewish people as a whole. We have to look at our situation. I mean, I was speaking to a couple of young guys on Facebook this week. Very frustrating how they're telling me how they think that the solution to Israel's problem is the J Street solution, which is to give back the West Bank. And I'm like, don't you realize that we gave back Gaza and they're firing thousands of rockets into Israel? And that's only a small portion of the border. You give the entire eastern border basically to Palestinians who want us dead, at least the northern part, who want us dead. They don't pretend that they don't want us all dead. They say it straight out. I mean, Fatah, whoever it is, PLO, Fatah, whoever you want to call them, they made an agreement, a truce agreement, whatever, with Hamas now. Right? So they can't be trusted. Hamas wants us dead straight out. And anyone who's following this closely knows that Yasser Arafat was no saint. He was a person that basically said straight out that the only difference in him and Hamas is Hamas doesn't pretend. They want us dead right away. And he says he'll kill us in 2 steps. So these are not people we could trust. So I'm trying to explain this to people. They're like, no, it's better to give it back. There are security people in Israel who say it could be secure. I mean, could be secure? You're talking about the Jewish homeland. You're talking about the only place we have to go. No, we have to give it back. Why? Because in 50 years, the demographic's not going to work out. 50 years. I don't know what's going to happen next week in Israel, but I have to worry about 50 years from now? Have a little patience. Let God work his way through. If anyone who follows the story of the land of Israel and the Jewish people, it's impossible not to believe in miracles. It's impossible. Even Moshe Dayan, they say the story of the 6 Day War is an incredible experience. The entire Jewish people, Israel, out of Israel, they were completely taken over by this miracle. You have all these Arab armies surrounding the state, and we fought. We defended ourselves, and not only did we win the war in 6 days, which is unheard of, but we also took the Sinai, we took Gaza, we took the West Bank, as they call it. Unbelievable, miracle. And Moshe Dayan, who's an atheist, right, the general of the army, goes to Yerushalayim in shock, sees that we now have the Western Wall, we now have the site of the Temple Mount. In shock, and he writes on a piece of paper and puts it in the wall, as was the custom of Jews throughout the centuries, in that Western Wall, the Wailing Wall. They would cry it over, write a note to God. And of course in Israel they have no respect for anybody, so all the media people, they go and they take the note out of the wall. What did he write? He wrote, Zeh hayom asah Hashem nagila v'nismecha bo. This day was done by God. May we rejoice and be happy in it. This is a person who's an atheist, but he saw. But then 2 weeks later, of course, as we mentioned in the past, 2 weeks later, the slogan in Israel was Kol HaKavod LaTzahal, all the way to go IDF. Now, of course, you have to congratulate the IDF, but to ignore that God has something to do with it is just shameful. It's just absolutely shameful. And this is something we have to remember. We've had terrible experiences in Israel since then. And we've had terrible experiences before. It's not easy. But you have to remember that the way things happen, the way success happens, the way the Jewish people survive and succeed is only through patience. You have to wait things to happen. And if you can wait that time, then you'll see the success at the end of the day. And if anything, our experiences, the experiences of the Jewish people in general, teach us that patience is not only a virtue, it's a necessity. Shabbat Shalom.